Big Blue Thumb Productions presents the Podlie Podcast. Here's your hosts, Podlie Bill, Podlie Cliff, and Podlie Paul.
And hello, everybody. We are here. Epi 156.
Hello.
Wait, where do you see that?
The number of the episode?
Yeah.
I'm just making it up.
Okay.
No, it says on the top there. Podlie Podcast episode 100.
Oh, yeah, there it is. Got it.
William Seltzer, good evening. 3,500 points. Leslie Ann, 2,500 points. William Seltzer in there again. Sorry, I'm late. You're not getting points for.
Sorry, I'm late at 7:59.
Oh, that's it. It says, I've often heard the opening, but I've never seen it.
There you go. Wait till you see the encore.
Hello. By the way, that's what the Englishman said when he came home and found three men in bed with his wife. Hello. That's like the oldest joke in the world.
So.
And we're talking, you don't find motorbikes romantic, hey?
No, I do. Electric motorbikes.
Electric motorbikes.
Okay, so, share the story. Because I don't get this. Mr. Bill.
So off air, Cliff was asking me.
We were talking
about. This past Friday, I took out the Can-Am Spider for a test drive that we've been looking at. And it's an older model, it's used and stuff, but brought my neighbor with him, and he's very mechanical. He builds motors, and he's a bike rider as well, and all that kind of stuff. So he really knows this stuff really well. But anyway, having said all that, went out on a test drive on this bike, and of course, from the store we're buying it from, they have to send somebody out with you. And there was a young gentleman on a motorcycle who was going to lead the way, and he was on an electric motorcycle. So as I was saying to Cliff, the one thing I noticed about it when he started up, it was so quiet because a motorbike gets a nice rumble to it when you fire up the motor. Even with the Can-Am Spider, you get that nice rumble. You rev the throttle a couple times and you get that feel. You feel it under you.
Right.
But he starts up his electric bike and this little. Is that thing on?
Yeah. It's probably like an
electric fence.
It's probably like Flintstones. When he has to shave, he grabs two shells, looks for a flag.
Yeah.
He grabs the flag. That's what the bike sounds like. Now, having said that, you at least heard it. I've not been close to it. I've not heard it. But then I said, I don't know what I said, but I said I don't.
Takes the romance out of it.
I said
takes the romance out of it.
I like riding a motorbike. You want that sound.
I like the sound of it.
Engine sound, yeah.
I like the exhaust. I like the fact that it burns something. Burning is cool. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I like the fact that you can rev the crap out of it, and it sounds good. And when you change gears, it's got that wah, wah, wah.
You hear the gear change, yeah.
I like all that stuff. Now, will I not like an electric motorbike? I don't know. For all I know, I might get on there and I might love it. I don't know, but it doesn't do it for me at the moment.
Again, I just watched this young guy because he was leading the way, of course, as we were driving all around this industrial area in the south side of Edmonton, and he was moving. It looks like a sport bike, so again, a sport bike,
truck type thing, yeah.
Right, yeah. And he was moving along on it, pretty good at times, and I was, having to keep up with him. But again,
as far as power goes and horsepower,
you're right,
and all that sort of stuff, no, nothing wrong there. And I tell you what, DC motors. Believe me, you won't have any issue with torque, right? I mean, you put the proper motor in that thing, and it could be like a crotch rocket where if you hit the gas, or in this case, hit the electricity, whatever, you'll fly off the back. I mean, electric motors have a tremendous amount of torque.
Yeah, but you're right. It doesn't have that.
I never figured out the whole romance with cars. Like, so here's my equation of this. So because I'm not a bike lover, I'm not a motorbike lover. So your vroom on a motorbike kind of equates to taking the romance out of driving for example, purple Ferrari instead of a red one. Correct?
No, I don't think so.
Because everybody wants to drive a red Ferrari.
And a red Ferrari.
Well, everybody wants a red Magnum PI Ferrari because they want to feel like Magnum PI.
Give me a purple Ferrari, I'd be only too happy to take it off the hand.
I don't know. I'm trying to figure out this whole romance thing with the cars.
See, I look under
or vehicles.
Again, though, if it's the same vehicle but different colors, what's under the hood is still the same. So you can still get that nice, powerful engine sound and that kind of thing, right? Whether the color is red or purple or pink with purple polka dots.
But then a motorbike will still go fast electrically than it would on gas.
Because it's not the same sound.
But it just doesn't have that sound. Like, right, once you get on, even like I said, when you get on the trike with the Can-Am and you fire that motor up and you can feel it underneath you, and it's just that almost that sense of power. And,
That's right.
and
I think, I don't know.
This one's lost on me, boys. Sorry.
I think the electric.
I'll take you for a ride sometime.
I think the electric bike might be too smooth.
Yeah, maybe.
Might be too efficient, too smooth.
Well, as I said, I took, as I mentioned, my neighbor came out because he's the mechanical guy. So he decided to hop on the back of the bike with me to ride. He wanted to see where the road, because I was gonna have him ride the bike on his own, because I just wanted him to listen to the gears and all that kind of stuff and get a feel for it, so he could come back and say,
to feel the romance.
To feel the romance.
There you
It's
go.
like romancing the stone. So,
Good movie.
but he hopped on the bike with me, and as I told these guys, the good thing is when we returned from the test drive, I looked back there and he was still on the
He
bike.
was still on the bike.
He was still
It was a successful. It was a successful.
It was, I mean, let's face it. The measure of success is whether your passenger is still on when you get back.
Do you ever do that with Wesley Ann?
I never thought of it, but so
you
far,
check if she's still there.
You never thought of checking back, eh?
so far, that's then we're good.
Cliff, shoulder check, shoulder check.
Look at what she says here. That says the doggy just came in the house and heard me.
Yeah.
The voice running and he came running for a treat. Because
Wow.
I'm the one that gives him the treat.
Nice. Hello there, William Kirkland, and Wesley Ann did say, "Good evening, Mr. Kirk." Do some call you Captain?
Yeah, good evening, Mr. Kirkland. And good evening, Marvin.
Good old Marvin is with us as well. So anyway, having said all that, that's what we're doing. So hopefully you'll be finalized.
So you're the proud owner of
Hopefully will be soon. Yeah.
of a Can-Am
Spider RT Limited.
a Can-Am arachnid.
So is there more stability on two front wheels and one back wheel than one front wheel and two back wheels?
Yes.
There is. Okay, cool.
Yep.
See, I didn't know that.
And
This one's lost on me, boys.
and keep in mind, if you got two back wheels and one front wheel, you can still pop that thing up.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right now,
Yep.
I don't think you can do a wheelie with a
can't.
Can-Am.
I'm
Spider.
guessing probably not.
Right.
Yeah.
It'd be very
I'm guessing
difficult.
probably not.
Yeah, and think about the physics of it, Paulie. Right, you got two wheels up front.
Yep.
If you got two wheels on the back and you're turning, when you turn, you could do this.
Correct.
Yes.
But when you got two wheels in front and one in the back, you're never gonna do that.
That's exactly
always
right. I've
gonna
seen
be like-
Mr. Bean. I know exactly what you're talking about.
There we go. So the Can-Am Spider was actually, or the trike with the two front wheels in the front and one in the back, was the upgrade to the old ATVs. The ATVs were lethal.
Right.
The three wheelers.
True. True
Right.
that. True that.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm not comparing a motorcycle to an ATV, but fact of the matter is the physics of it is the same.
Similar. Yeah,
Got it.
very similar. So.
Sure.
So anyway, having
Interesting.
said all of that, I was going to say how was your guys' week, but hey, we went golfing last week.
So how can that be bad?
That's not a bad thing at all.
And
we
so-
all survived.
Yeah, so the three Podlies, exactly. So the three Podlies went to the golf course and hung out together, and yeah, we shot
So
nine
much
holes.
fun.
Shot 9 holes, went back, had the 10th hole traditional bevies,
Had
and
a
it
libation.
was a good it was all around a great bloody evening.
I have to say, boys, that was the highlight of my week last week. That was a lot of fun. Thank you both very much. That
That was a lot of fun, and having, I know, as Paul was same thing. You know, I hadn't been on the golf course for a good 8 years or more.
And
so
Paulie too.
Paul, and it was nice
Paulie
to actually
first
get out
time
on
in
the
10 years
actual,
or 11 years.
actual
whatever.
course and playing. And I only lost one golf ball.
I lost two.
I
lost two.
I don't think you lost any, did you?
No, I lost 2, I think.
Because you lose two.
Well, I lost one for sure. It's about to hit the car. Remember?
Oh,
Oh, yeah, that was funny. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all, yeah, he almost hit a car, but
Yeah, almost
we won't
hit a
talk
car,
about that on here.
Well, I mean,
Okay.
come on, man.
Y'all didn't see it, so it
Like,
didn't happen.
why would you ride? Why would you drive a beautiful car next to a golf course?
Next to a golf course,
Not when
come
I'm on. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Come on. Come on.
Yeah.
Good times. Really good times. Yep.
So,
We're on again on Thursday, boys.
yeah, we're all heading out to the golf course on Thursday
On
again.
Thursday. So Marvin says he drives like crazy, but a short game sucks. Well, hey Marvin, I tell you what, if your short game didn't suck and you drove like crazy, man, I tell you, you'd be a good golfer.
You'd be a good golfer.
Hey, did you hit Rory McIlroy?
Did he win the British Open?
Not the British Open. He won. He's in line to win the British Open now. But his longest drive of the year, 427 yards.
That's
Well, I
crazy
was
business.
watching some of the British Open this weekend from Scotland, and with the wind.
No, that wasn't the British Open, was it?
Yes, it
Yes.
was. Yeah,
Yeah, it was.
yeah, St. Andrews this weekend.
Is that what he won?
So that's why I was asking, because he was leading when I last checked on Sunday
Oh, I
morning.
didn't realize it was the British Open.
British.
Yeah. Anyway, so they were hitting drives like 389 yards
That's crazy.
because of the wind behind
The
them.
wind behind him. Yeah, so his was,
Yeah.
and he landed. I think he carried 389 yards, and then the ball was on the run, but it hit the rough. It hit the first rough, or else it would have ran even another 40 yards.
Yep.
To say.
Yep.
So it's like 487-yard drive. My goodness me!
That's crazy.
Are you kidding me? There are a whole bunch of par fours on the courses that I play that are not 487 yards.
I was just gonna say that's par 3 times 2.
Yeah,
what that
437, not 87. 437
Yeah.
yards. So yeah, like a few of the par four aren't 437 yards.
Crazy.
And he drove it. So if he was on a par four like you and I play around the Edmonton area, he could have driven the green.
And you know what's really funny is when we were there on Thursday, there was a couple of guys. Remember the couple of guys that were watching us?
Yeah.
The older gents. I can't remember.
Oh,
what I don't know what building that was, but
Yeah, right behind
maintenance
it.
building
Yeah.
or whatever. And they just made kind of an offhanded comment as we were talking about, young golfers and what have you, the big burly, 20 somethings, and they made an offhanded comment, and they said, it's still the young guys that think it's the harder you hit it, the longer it's going to go.
Right.
And it's absolutely not true. It's absolutely not true, you guys.
It's the speed, club head speed.
It's the club head speed is what it is.
And
You have to hit it in the sweet spot.
And you watch McIlroy swing. He's crazy.
Yeah.
It's like effortless,
Yeah.
but powerful. Like powerful.
Yeah.
Absolute power. And it's full. You start out here and he comes all the way around, and when he finishes, his club is on this side.
Yep.
Mhm.
It's like completely ridiculous.
Yep. So by the time he hits bottom, by the time he hits the ball,
He's at full.
he's at full tilt.
Yeah.
He's at full tilt.
Would that be considered terminal velocity?
It might be 121. It might be. It might be. Yeah. Might be. Very interesting.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
So Marvin, you
how
should
do
come
we-
out, man.
Marv, we need a fourth. Marv, just saying. Just saying.
And you can do all the driving.
Just saying.
I'm kidding.
We're walking it though, Marv. It's only 9 though. We're only doing 9. We're only doing 9. Let's do 9 for another couple, guys, and then we'll go to 18.
Then we're getting
Well,
warmed up.
I'm doing 18 on Fridays.
Are you doing 18 on Friday? Oh, you're gonna be sore, buddy.
I'm gonna be toast.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Because that's 27 holes in the 2 days.
That's
right?
27 holes in 2 days. 27 holes in 2 days.
I'm playing 2 tournaments next week,
There we go.
Tuesday and
guys.
Thursday.
Woo! Lovely.
So, yes, I'm looking back at the comments here. William Kirkland says, I hated the 3-wheel trikes. I wiped out a few times.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's with the front wheel being single and 2 on the back. So,
Yeah. And now, I mean, I didn't know this, but there's a guy even right here just outside Warburg who does conversions. So he takes the bike and then he adds the 2 wheels in the back, and he makes it into a trike. But the 2 wheels are in the back, and it's a kit. You buy this kit from the States, and he puts it together.
mhm.
But those are for the guys who just want their main bike, and they're not into they're just going to tool around.
Yeah.
Right? So,
Yeah, and there are definitely a lot of kits. I think Honda has a kit. And,
Right.
Harley actually builds a 3-wheel trike, and they still do
They
today.
still do, yeah.
And it's not cheap, it's very expensive. But yeah, you're right. The stability on that type of trike is definitely not great in a lot of ways if you take a turn too fast or whatever the case might be.
So William says, I thought golf was a great drinking session, spoiled by a little ball. I've always enjoyed golf when I get the chance to play.
no, that's curling.
That's curling.
Hey, well, I was in Ottawa in January with my company for our sales kickoff, and one of the events they took us to was curling.
Nice.
We got to go curling, and I hadn't been on curling ice again in years, and that's one sport that getting down and throwing that rock is difficult again to keep your balance and
Physically interesting.
And just make sure there's no glass houses at the end.
yeah, don't throw
Right.
rocks at
No
glass
kidding.
houses.
No kidding, right?
But,
You ever golf? Or you ever curled? Sorry.
No, I don't.
No,
Did I
I
have I once?
I did one time. I was in grade 1.
I might have once.
Yeah.
But I can't remember.
yeah,
I like the idea of it. I mean, it's like shuffleboard for big kids.
it is.
It is.
So anyway, that was fun. So anyway, yeah, Leslie Ann said, except it's a rock, not a ball.
Not a ball.
That is
But it's round, Leslie Ann.
it is a circle.
It is a bloody
Very heavy stone. So anyway, how was the rest of your guys' weekend? Anything exciting happen? I know you're busy with your work and
Yeah. Did interviews today for photogs. Great interviews. Got some really great people coming in, which is awesome. And yeah, so busy day today. I think what time I get to the office? 8 o'clock. Didn't leave till 4:35, somewhere there. Whatever the case be. So
Excuse me. Yeah.
full day, and the weekend. Oh man, the weekend just disappeared on me. And I cut the grass. What Sunday at like 7 o'clock or something?
Yeah.
It's like I procrastinated, and then they said it was gonna rain like God knows how many centimeters for 2 days. I'm like, gosh, it's gonna be huge. So I was out there, and I was like, just got it done on Sunday. So and I had so much work that I had to do, which I had to put off. And of course, today was an early long day,
Yeah.
which means that I'm still behind.
Yeah, I did nothing outside this weekend. I did it all inside this weekend. So all inside.
But yeah, the week was good. I mean, golfing on Thursday was definitely a high point. That was just great fun. And didn't we have the perfect evening, huh?
That was great.
No
After
wind,
we thought we might
no
get
Mosquitoes
rain,
were buggers though, hey?
Ah.
Cliff?
Oh,
Oh
right,
man.
mosquitoes, yeah.
But perfect evening. No,
Yeah.
to your point, perfect evening.
Yeah, no wind, no rain.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, no, that was definitely good for sure. So, but we're back. Here we are, Monday night again, and oh, there's Chai. She just messaged me that she was having trouble signing in for some reason, but you're here.
You're here.
There you go.
You're here.
She has arrived, and we're missing a few of our regular viewers tonight.
Dudes with Rooms. You ever seen Dudes with Rooms?
Yeah, good movie.
Never
Leslie
seen that
Nielsen's hilarious. Leslie.
Oh, God rest his soul. Love him. He's amazing.
Yeah, Nielsen.
He's very funny. Very, very funny.
I think we've seen it. I can't remember.
Yeah, I've never seen it.
Like the old airplane movies.
The airplane movie is like
Yeah.
Striker.
Very funny.
Wow.
Shirley.
Shirley,
Don't call me Shirley.
Shirley, don't call you
Yeah.
Shirley.
Or when he's and it was when he's giving the report. It sounds like he's giving the report to over the airways and all. He opens doors. Why doesn't somebody tell me these things?
So funny.
Yeah, or
It's
what's
just so silly, eh? But that's so funny. He's like striker. It's like
So
smack.
funny.
Like, all right,
God rest his soul. Love him.
tell me everything that happened from the beginning. Well, first the earth cooled, and then the dinosaurs.
And then when they got the food poisoning, and the sweat's just pouring off, it was just like a waterfall coming down his face. He gets food poisoning.
So hilarious.
Oh, man.
So
Mhm.
Chai says could be why she had trouble signing in, could be why others aren't on yet. Apparently she had to create a channel to get into the chat. Oh, that's interesting.
Ooh, that's crazy.
That's a
I
new
haven't heard
one.
of that one before.
And William Kirkland says Nicole and Laura out at the trailer at Dixon Dam. William, I wonder if you'd be so kind as to text them and say that
You're late.
we certainly do not appreciate their lack of commitment or
You
dedication.
can use one of
You
these.
can use one of
Tune
these.
into YouTube.
That's right.
Yeah, the lack of commitment and dedication is duly noted.
Yes.
Mm.
Yeah. As we say, you can watch this show on any device. That's the thing about a live stream.
That's what we're about a live stream.
Yeah, no matter where you are, you can watch it. So if you're in a trailer or sitting in the trees of a forest somewhere,
Sitting in the trees of the forest somewhere.
yeah, where if a tree falls,
That's right. Nobody would hear it except for you because you're there.
yeah, well, you wouldn't hear it because you're watching the
Because you're watching
podcast.
the
If
podcast.
guys, if a tree falls in the forest, watch Podlie podcast. Goddamn, Jeez, you guys, come on.
Yeah, you can
Man.
tune in for sure. So.
Jeez.
So I did have a topic tonight, but before I get to that topic, I was thinking of something else actually.
Shoot.
Before I get to that topic, and it may throw our whole other topic all off rails. But anyway, I started thinking about this because in my family, Chai does not like 80s music. So if I put on 80s music, it's always, why are we listening to the music from the past? Gotta listen to the new music. So I started thinking, well, I like to listen to music from, doesn't matter, it could be 40s, 50s,
Yeah,
60s,
60s,
80s.
yeah.
Do you listen to 40s music?
2000s. Sometimes you might listen to something, or an old track or whatever, but,
Yeah.
I like to listen to everything, including 80s music. There's a lot of 80s bands we listen to. We actually just, on our show just before this, on our radio show, played Honeymoon Suite.
Nice. Good guitar.
So I just kind of wanted to see, so where are you guys at with your music? Is there any specific years of music that you like better than other years, or again you're open to listening to?
I don't know. I'm a music person, so it's not really about the genre, even let alone the age.
Mhm.
It's about the music. It's about, right. I mean, what was Billie Holiday's age? I don't know.
50s.
Was it 50? No, it would be early than that, was it? No. Anyway, I like Billie Holiday. I mean, Nina Simone, she's amazing, right?
Nina Simone's very talented.
Oh man,
Crazy
tell you,
talented.
just beautiful, right? And hey, tell you what, I mean, I don't know, 70s Jesse Dixon singers. These are not common
Mhm.
people were, but
Yeah.
but I like, I mean, Stones at the same time. But I mean, even the esoteric people that never really reached massive fame.
Mhm.
But there are so many of them. Even go back to the 20s, go back to, go back to the 30s. I mean,
Mhm.
Well, and even think about that, Cliff. For every 50s through today band that you've heard,
yeah,
there's 30 that you haven't.
yeah, exactly.
There's 30 that you haven't.
That's exactly,
You
yeah.
know.
But I mean, it's not age specific. It's not genre specific. So if somebody says to me, "Do I listen to 60s music?" I'm like, well, it depends on the music, because if it's a good, I mean, if you ask me if I listen to the Beatles, even I'll tell you, well, it depends on the song,
Mhm.
because it's not about the band, it's not about the age, it's not about anything. It's about the actual tune in question, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I put on Billie Holiday, and I mean, I can listen to her whole greatest hits album, but I haven't heard everything she's ever done,
Mhm.
right? Nina Simone, I
Mhm.
mean,
Mhm.
flags flying high.
Mhm.
This is how I feel. I mean, as soon as that comes on, you're like just glued to it because it's so good.
Mhm.
But I don't know. I don't know all her music, right?
Right.
So no, it's not genre specific or age specific. What about you?
Well, again, as I said, now of course Chai says others. She said I only like 80s music, but I do listen to music, again, as I just said, from
Mhm.
all different years and different time frames, right up until right up until current.
Yeah.
The current music might be. But I'm curious though, why if you ask this question sometimes to a lot of people, what's your favorite time or music?
What's season of music?
And a lot of people will say 80s for some reason.
Yeah.
So what was so great, do you think, about the 80s that so many people will turn and say, oh, I love music from the 80s?
Well, for me, that one's easy. That's when I grew up.
And I think
That's when I grew up. That one's easy for me.
and I actually think that's probably the predominant reason, maybe, right? Is that you ask a person, certainly in the age group, they might say 80s, because that's when they grew up. They were most impressionable at that time. But was it the best music around? I don't know.
Mhm. Was it the best music? Well, yeah.
Well,
maybe,
okay,
yeah.
okay, so define the best music then.
Exactly,
Like,
exactly.
come on.
Again, it's
Like-
about the song, right? So
Yeah,
totally.
subjective.
Yeah, and that's what Les Dan says, right? I mean, coming of age for most people, right?
Mhm.
So Bill says, what Chai say? Bill, name a new band.
It's kind of funny too, because Bill and I are on a show prior to this. We actually talked about this. I said, Bill's got great stories of he remembers the first vinyl that he bought.
Yeah.
I don't have that memory. Like I don't.
Yeah,
like,
I
I
do.
have the first CD. No, I don't have the first CD. Sorry. I have the first Depeche Mode CD.
Yeah.
But to remember the first CD that I have,
I
don't
remember the first
remember.
vinyl I bought.
which is
I remember hang on. I remember the first 33 album I bought.
see,
I remember the first 45 album I bought. I remember the first CD I bought.
damn it,
Check this out. I remember the first cassette I bought.
damn it,
Oh, wow.
damn it. I don't have
remember
those
first
memories.
cassette. My
Yeah.
first, as I said in the other show, my first 45 that I bought was Steve Miller's Fly Like an Eagle, which was released in 78.
78, yeah.
Yeah.
First 45 I bought was in the old country, Elton John singing Daniel on one side.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I bought it for.
And the B side was
And the B side was what I fell in love with, which is Skyline Pigeon.
Pigeon.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
So
There you
that
go.
was the first 45 I bought. That's not the first 45 I played, but that's the one I bought with my own money.
Yeah.
And guess what? The first LP,
Well, it's got to be Slummy and Garfield.
Zeppelin.
Oh, it's Zeppelin.
Zeppelin 4.
Wow.
Zeppelin 4, 1976 release. I
Did you
was
go?
what, 12, I don't know how old it was, but and I
Did you
brought
go?
that album all the way with me across the
Yeah.
pond. So
Wow.
Boy. My first purchase would be tapes, because it was kind of
cassette, yeah.
it would be tapes. That's when I grew up. That's how I grew up. Wasn't LPs, wasn't vinyl. It was just cassettes were coming in. I guys, I don't know. I don't
ABBA.
know. Oh, well, like
My first
great
cassette.
hits.
My
Or-
first
Was
cassette was
ABBA?
ABBA with Dancing Queen on it, whatever the
Mm,
album was
well.
called.
Yeah, see, guys, God love you for remembering that. I don't. Like I said, I have I have many memories of going to the record store and buying tapes and this, that, and the other thing. One of which is not a first, though, you know. So,
So Leslie had says, I remember the first cassette he mangled. Thanks a lot. I left it. I bought this car, my first car, 1966 Ford Custom 500.
Mhm.
It leaked more oil than you filled gas in it. It was fantastic. I had so much fun with it. But I always used to come. Oh man, I installed a tape deck, bass 48 speed because it was terrible. But nonetheless, I had music, and I used to take the tape out all the time because you didn't want to leave it in the heat, right?
of course not.
So I take the tape out. Well, one time I took the tape out, got distracted, put it on the dash.
Yeah.
Come back the next morning, the tape
Puddle.
is no longer like this. It's kind of warping.
Yep.
So I'm like, well, nothing I can do about that now. So I left it on the dash all summer, and it changed shape every day. And I think let's say, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I think I actually, when winter was coming, I think I actually put a rope through it and hung it on the
Good memories.
rearview mirror. But I left it on the dash, literally, and every day changed shape.
Good memories. Leslie Ann says Rob Thomas, lead vocalist from Matchbox 20, once said the 90s did terrible things to good people. Absolutely.
Nice.
So Leslie Ann, 90s was coming out of the not a good decade.
Yeah.
Not a good decade. Yep.
Yeah, I think the 80s, okay, just to back to Bill's point here, or question, I think the 80s had a significant impact on a lot of people from both older and younger, because it was sort of the bridge between disco and rap. It was the bridge between disco. I mean, breakdancing was what, mid 80s and moving.
Yeah, early 80s,
right?
mid 80s. Yeah,
Mid-80s
Michael Jackson
moving, and you
Chaka
got
Khan.
well, yeah, and then you got Quincy Jones. I mean, Quincy Jones basically spearheading the hip hop movement. And I think what happened was the 70s kind of come to a trailing end with disco. And don't get me wrong, the 70s had some brilliant music, but the predominant pop stuff was disco.
Yeah.
Right. And I think as we transitioned from that, we slipped into the 80s, and we had all the ballads, and of course, growing up, you're in love and all these things. When you're in love with Dr. Hook and all these things. And then I think it was the transition. It went from there to the not quite the rap, but the hip hop, and then the breakdancing and all this thing.
Started moving into the punk realm.
The punk realm.
Yeah.
So I think it was a transition decade in so many ways.
You got the punk, then you got the new wave.
Into new wave.
Yeah.
I mean, and even I tell you what, Christian rock was just rocking the joint mid 70s. All of a sudden, 80s just took off, right? And it was Christian rock became mainstream.
Yeah.
And so any people like.
Well, I think the 80s too, you guys, was I guess the advent of the music performer, if I may say that, i.e. Michael Jackson, i.e. Tina Turner,
TV and video, MTV video,
and 100% and the video and videos.
Well, MTV, 100%. I mean, MTV.
It was now a performance.
On the map, right?
It was now theater. Do you know what I mean?
Spectacle.
It was a spectacle. That's a great word. It was a spectacle. Right? Yeah. That's what it was. And I think it was the 80s that did that.
And that the transition. So I think a lot of people, like, let's say if you were kind of great in the 70s, you love 70s music, and the 80s was such a nice bridge. It wasn't like 70s ballads and heavy rock, boom, rap. It wasn't that way. It was this nice transition. I think the 80s, I mean, let's face it, some of the best ballads in the world were from some of the best movies in the world.
Oh,
true. True enough. 80s, Chariots of Fire.
So I'm with Bill. I think it was a cool decade. I really
love William's comment. I'm tired of rebuilding my music library every time the media changed.
And
I agree, man.
William's comment from before as well. What a great! I have that.
I love that album.
I have that one on vinyl, and I have the CD somewhere
of that
as well.
Brothers in Arms.
And his first cassette was the K-Tel with the hits from the 79 and 80. So I had some of those K-Tel albums as well. And the funny thing was, because they put like 40 songs on those albums, because they would edit them, right? So they would edit all the songs so they would be shorter, so that they could get a whole bunch of songs on one album for $7.99 or whatever.
Okay, so then you must have had Columbia House.
Yes, I did.
We were just talking about that, buddy. We were just talking about that.
Not long after I bought my first 45, I jumped in and I said to my mom and dad, I'm joining Columbia House Records.
I want 47 cassettes for 2 cents, please.
Every month I'd get my box would come in the mail of
Yep.
6 or 7 albums or whatever
Oh,
it was, and I'd open
awesome.
them all up, all excited to which album I would see and which band it was.
Which band it was
And
awesome.
now I've got boxes of albums that are sitting in my garage right
For
now.
us kids at that time, I tell you what, that was a genius thing. I mean, come
Yeah.
on, right? And
Okay, so if I may, sorry to interrupt, any of us listening, you guys, everybody on here, did anybody actually pay Columbia House? That's what I'd like to know. Did anybody actually pay the full membership?
I did that.
I paid.
You did not,
I
did
did,
you?
I did.
Yeah,
Did
we-
you?
I paid the full membership.
I did.
Dudes, I did not pay.
And I bought the albums, right?
I did not pay.
So Leslie Ann says she got heard a silly kids joke. We've been talking about kids jokes, and the question is, where do bad rainbows go?
They go to Prism.
And the answer is they go to Prism.
Prism.
It's a light sentence. It gives them time.
They go to Prism. I like it.
Gives them time to reflect.
That was another great band, Prism.
Prism, yeah.
Starship. What is it? Starship.
I'm a spaceship.
Super. I love that song. I love that song.
They were.
I
a very
love
good,
that song.
very good band as well.
Love that song. I haven't heard that song at Pereira, so I can't remember.
What about Streetheart?
The Streetheart was great.
He just passed.
Under my
Oh, did he? Streetheart.
5 years ago.
And hey, Trooper.
Trooper is going to be on the. It was just announced they're going to be in part of the Walk of
Walk
Walk
of
of
Fame.
Fame.
along
Yeah,
with
and-
the Glass Tiger.
And Loverboy.
Loverboy.
Everybody was like
Working for the weekend. Mike Reno.
Yeah.
Mike Reno.
Yeah. It's
Mike
funny
Reno.
that-
Mike Reno did duets with Ann Wilson from
Yeah.
Heart. And
But those guys are all still touring, surprisingly enough.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I tell you, just to touch on what William's topic was, updating his library every time the media changed. Buddy, you and me both.
Yeah.
Right? And I tell you what, the last time, it was funny because I had a whole bunch of albums, and then I was a tech. I was newly into the tech field, and when CDs, as a matter of fact, I actually demoed one of the first CDs around at a show. One of the first CDs ever made. I actually demoed it at an electronic show. So I was right early adopter. And I remember my first CD that I bought that was not like an original was I bought the Bridge Over Troubled Water album
Mhm.
because I had the album. I've had every genre of media. I've had all the Simon things.
Mhm.
Like if he released it, I've had it.
Mhm.
And what happened was when I bought the CDs, I had so many friends around me that that couldn't afford to buy music, and always used to come to my house to listen and all
Mhm.
that type of stuff. So then I started buying CDs. I'd buy the CD. I'd go find the album and give it to the friend who liked that particular
Yep.
album the
Oh,
most.
that's cool.
So then I'd give him the record. And so every time I bought a CD, I gave away the record because I
That's cool.
replaced it with the CD.
Mhm.
And then I gave away the tape because I could make tapes whenever I wanted to.
Yeah.
So I ended up with just CDs. And and then vinyl started coming back.
How do you get your music? Right now,
Now?
how do you get your music? Ergo, my question is: do you still buy CDs?
Last album I just bought, Paul Simon's Sounds album.
Which was?
What do you mean? Which was?
Vinyl or CD?
Oh no, I bought the CD,
You bought the CD,
Bought
which
the
was
CD.
which was recent.
which was recent. I also bought. This is going back a few years. I bought Simon's. What album was that? Stranger to Stranger. I bought. No, So Beautiful, So What. I bought the limited edition vinyl. I bought the cut. I bought the download.
Yeah,
I bought,
yeah.
and I bought the CD.
So, do you buy physical copies?
I have. I have to be honest. I haven't bought a CD in a while. But if I would, yeah, I'd definitely buy a physical copy of it.
I like the physical copy.
So, well,
So then going back to when we switched from vinyl to the new technology of CDs, what did you think about that? What were your thoughts about that? Because there was the big thing that everybody, CDs were going to be so much better. You're going to hear things on CDs that you wouldn't be able to hear.
Yeah, the
when you're
problem
recording
was-
on an album.
Yeah, the problem was I didn't know when I started giving away my albums. Honestly, it seems like a nice altruistic thing to do, and I'll take that. But if I'd have had a little bit more education, I might not have been so altruistic.
Sure.
Because the sound, especially if the early CDs built, the later CDs obviously changed it, but the sound of the early CDs were not there,
Mhm.
right? Paulie, you're not a techie. Let me explain this to you real quick. If you have a clock, right? You have hands.
Mhm.
You have a definite. That's what's called an analog clock. You have definite 60 seconds between minutes, then you have 60 minutes between hours.
Yeah.
That's why it's called analog.
Yeah.
So, but you can go in between a minute. You can go in between a second. You can
Mhm.
go in between a microsecond. You can go in between a millisecond,
Mhm.
nanosecond, etc., etc., etc.
You're splitting the time, Adam, here, boys
With
and girls.
digital,
Mhm.
it's limited.
Mhm.
There's only so many samplings. So
Mhm.
what happens is you're not getting the harmonics that you do on an album.
On an album. Yeah.
Now you are, but in
Yeah.
the early days, in the early CDs, you weren't getting that,
Mm.
right? So actually, CDs did not sound as good
Mhm.
as albums. Albums had better hiss, and hiss is what? Hiss is high notes.
Mhm.
Hiss is harmonics.
Mhm.
So as an audiophile, I probably should have kept my albums. I just didn't know any better.
Yeah, for
Well,
sure.
Most of us didn't, and now everybody's
Yeah.
trying to recoup their albums.
And as you mentioned, you mentioned clock. You should look at the time there.
Holy 36! I blame Laura and I blame Nicole.
Yeah.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and
Oh.
welcome.
Sorry, it's funny that you did that because just as you did that, Chai's going, Cliff, it's
I know.
past 8:30."
Cliff, it's past the time, sir!
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and Chai, and welcome to the middle of the podcast.
And William. So I ended up digitally creating my music. Let's bring this comment up. Some 500 gigabyte of HQ high quality MP3s. Then they stopped making MP3 players. But I saved it and dropped some stuff to my phone to listen to. Plus, I use Spotify.
Yeah.
MP3 players.
You know what I
Lasts
did?
as long as I thought it was going to.
You know what I did, William? I actually started burning all my CDs in AIF format, and AIF format is the lossless
Yes.
format.
Yes.
Whereas MP3 is a compressed format.
Compresses. Yeah.
And it's lossy, not lossless. So anyway, I started creating I backed up all my entire CD library, which was already diminished, but nonetheless it was pretty big. I put it all on AIF, and then my lovely friend Jeremy says, I'm putting a server together, Cliff, so you don't have to, blah blah blah. So I gave him all the AIF, and we made MP3s.
Mhm.
He had a crash, lost all the AIFs. But in the meantime, I took all my CDs and gave them to my brother-in-law.
Oh.
So now
Mhm.
I have access. I have a whole bunch of apes that I have still on my computer, and I have access to all of my friend Jeremy that he took all my music and added all his tremendous amount of music. So we have a massive database of MP3s, and I have, I don't know, maybe half a terabyte of apes. So William, the upshot of all of this is if you're going to make a digital library, bite the bullet as far as space goes, make it lossless, and then that way, if you choose to go MP3 or choose a different format, you can convert it while not destroying your original.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's your little tip for the day.
Yeah. And did you ever have back in the day a Walkman, the cassette version of the Walkman?
Oh yeah, I had a cassette, I had a disc.
A disc version, yeah,
Yeah.
both, yeah. I remember, and
Yeah.
back, of course, the cassette. But to make a cassette back then, I would have to record off my albums. So
Off the albums.
if I wanted a cassette that had like 20 or 30 different
Yep.
songs on, I have to go through all my
Yep.
different albums, and it would take you,
And
you
I
know,
used to play-
a week to get my
Did-
to get my cassette recorded.
Did you do this? I used to play DJ and fade in and fade out
Oh, yeah.
the songs on the
Yeah, I
on
would
the
do-
tape.
Of course.
Yeah, so
Of
you
course.
make sure that
Because that's the only type of EQ that you had was fade in,
Yeah,
and fade out.
yeah.
You had nothing else.
And then if a song ended on a like a that note or
Yeah.
something like that,
Yeah.
then we started on a note that was complement. We started the next song. Make sure the next song starts with a complimentary.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm sure you did that. We all did.
everybody did.
Yeah.
Good times.
Yeah, all those times. And Leslie Ann, remember mixtapes?
That's it. Yeah, what you're talking about.
From the radio station, and you didn't want the DJ to say nothing.
That's what I was gonna say next. Is I remember trying to record something, waiting for a song. I remember the Cliff Richard song came out whatever 1979 or whatever. 4 o'clock. I've been walking all night. I love that song. And I'd wait beside the tape with the record button, and I'd be like, literally like the 50s. You're listening to radio, I'd be looking at the radio.
Waiting
to do it.
And the moment you started, I would press the button, and then the DJ would go. While the beginning's going, he'll go, and here's Cliff Richard. But I'm like, shut up. Let me hear the song.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember I
That,
called.
my friends, is music romance.
Yeah, I remember I called CHAB. God, it was at 2 a.m. And I said, at 4 o'clock, you're probably going to play. 4 o'clock, I've been walking all night. Could you please let me record it? I wish I remembered the DJ's name. He was so nice. He was so nice. He says, okay. He says, 4 o'clock. I'll play it, blah, blah, blah. And he says, I'll give you lots of warning. I'll announce it and everything else. And then the moment it starts playing, he says, I'll stay quiet. And that's how I got my recording of it.
So Leslie Ann says Cliff made me a mixtape. He even did some original artwork. For
Oh,
Yeah.
Cliffy!
So what was? Do you remember
That's
what
very
some of the
romantic.
music was on that mixtape? Was it
Oh
like
my
some of
God.
Leslie Ann's favorites? Was
Yeah,
it a
oh,
mix of
yeah.
your favorites, or was it
no,
all
it
Leslie
was
Ann
all
favorites?
mostly her favorites, but some that I wanted her to be a favorite.
Yeah.
Like 38 Special. What's that song? My Best Friend. No? Was that Queen? Can't remember. Anyway, now I can't remember. But yeah, that was a good.
No, that's Queen. My best friend.
That's Queen.
My best
Yeah.
friend was Queen.
What's 38 Special? I said, and I can't remember the song. And Scandalin. Scandalin was an album by Michael Card. He's a Christian dude. And that album, Scandalin, was, I just loved that album. Yeah, Queen, My Best Friend.
Yeah.
So, and Leslie Ann, one of her favorite songs was Warrior, Patti Smythe.
Love that song.
That's a great song.
Warrior, one of her favorite songs.
Yeah.
And of course, because it's Leslie Annie, Dreamboat Leslie Annie by heart.
By heart,
Right,
of course.
so she like that.
And
Of course, their debut.
And so now I'm going back even a little long. So in vinyl times, when bands started to have the technology to record live, so you look back to Kiss, Alive, one of the first big live albums, really that kind of caught everybody's
Smacked the market.
right? Recorded in a truck trailer that was outside the arena, and recorded. It was more actually like a van that had the recording equipment in, and recorded Kiss live. So what were your thoughts back then, even today? Like, I talk to a lot of people, of course, say, "Oh, I hate live albums. I want to hear just the album the way it is, playing in the studio and hearing that." Where live albums, there's too much crowd noise or whatever the case might be. So what are your thoughts on a live album as compared to just a regular album?
Just to catch up what Leslie Ann says, I was talking about 38 Special, one of her favorite songs, Caught Up in You. And the other one was Queen, My Best Friend.
Love that song.
Yeah, 38
Couldn't
Special.
think of it.
Yeah.
Live albums. Podlie.
Live albums. I'll take it or leave them. I'll take them or leave them. Depeche Mode is a live album. It's called 101. It was recorded at the Rose Bowl in Pasadena. Live album.
You okay there?
Yes, I thank you very
was
much.
joking
Thank
for
you
a
very much. So I'll take them or leave live albums. Here's where it bothers me. What bothers me is when I'm at a live concert. When I'm at a live concert,
They are playing live then.
and they sound exactly like the album. It drives me nuts. There's not a note change. There's not an
No
extra breath.
inflection.
That's when it bothers me. I want to come there because I want to see a live performance.
Right. So does
I've got the album. I know what the album
I know what it sounds like.
Now you know what? Now ad lib. I mean, your songs, ad lib. Give me a performance.
Yeah.
I've got the album. I've got the music. No, give me a performance. That's where it bugs me.
and so the band again that you're going to
That would be Depeche Mode.
Bless you.
November 21st.
yeah, bless you.
Rogers Place, Edmonton,
hey.
Alberta.
It's coming, hey, Paul.
Be there.
So do they change up some of their songs different from the album?
Yes. Well, they're a synth band, right?
Yeah.
They're a synth band, so they can mess around as much as they want to, right? Because they're a synth band.
What about you, Bill? Live albums?
Again, I honestly was a big fan of live albums, and I had some friends that I just said that did not like live
them.
albums. Again, for that reason, they said, "Oh, wow, there's too much crowd noise and stuff." I want to, but I liked listening to live albums, especially if they're recorded well, of course,
Correct.
right? They've got to be recorded well. And I bought a lot of live albums, everything from Kiss to I can't remember all the different bands. Ted Nugent live, one of my favorite live albums. Ted Nugent.
That dude is a.
Nugent live was an awesome
wow.
album. I tell you, I was a big Supertramp fan.
Love Supertramp.
Supertramp has an album called
Yes,
a double album called Live in
yeah,
Paris.
I have it.
Gosh, man,
Let
me tell you something.
What now?
The beginning of that, if anybody knows the theme from W5,
Yeah.
I love it. But it starts out the live album. You hear the crowd, the crowd dies down after the last song, and it's like this clapping here and it's song and all these. It's very atmospheric, eh?
Yeah.
And then he gets up on the piano, shouting, just very calm, right? And slowly he builds it until and you hear the crowd clapping, and then so and all of a sudden that nice high voice, which I wish I could do, you just history recalls how great the fall
Still
be.
touring, by the way.
And I tell you, the crowd slowly builds, and this whole song
Roger
just builds, and it's just
Roger
Hudson, just fantastic. fantastic.
Yeah.
If you ever get a chance,
That's a great album.
that is album. I love that album. It's one of my favorite live albums.
Yeah.
Oh man, there's so many. The live albums, Bill, I'm with you. Some of the live albums are a true work of genius.
Mhm.
You know, because here you got this artist just laying it all out, man. And you know, there's this extra guitaring sometimes. There's
Mhm.
you know, there's a little drum solo in the middle to show up. The
Well, that's what
drummer.
I mean. Play something different.
Right?
That's what I mean.
I
Do
love
something
some of these-
different.
Yeah, I love some of these live albums, man. I really do.
William Kirkland, Rush, a great Canadian band,
Oh,
totally
yeah.
underrated.
Totally
Okay,
underrated.
so but Rush, one of the greatest bands
Yeah.
of all time.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to put Canadian
Yeah,
in
greatest
front of
band of
that.
all time. Yeah.
William, I'm
Yeah.
not even going to put Canadian.
Oh, yeah.
They are legitimately one of the greatest bands of
Yeah.
all time. I don't consider them underrated.
They're
I
terribly
think
underrated.
Wow.
I think they're under. I think back when they were Limelight and I think they got what they deserved, which is a monumental fan base. I really do.
but-
I don't call them underrated.
I would probably disagree, Paulie, because I think Rush should have been a Zeppelin-y of Zeppelin-y epicness, because and Zeppelin was genius. I mean, don't let anybody ever tell you otherwise, and certainly not me. But Rush, from the lyrics to
The
the
musicianship.
musicianship, the lyrics alone. I tell you something. If you take Neil Peart, put his drumming aside. How do you
Yeah.
do that? How do you put Neil Peart's drumming aside? But if you can do
But
that,
he was the lyricist.
he's a philosopher, and the lyrics are phenomenal. And
Yeah,
then on top of that, you had his drumming, and then Geddy with his bass and blah blah blah.
Getty
I
with
think-
his voice.
Voice.
Getty with his vocals
And-
are.
and he plays bass, and
I'll take
And it-
that any day of the week.
You know, and Rush had a tough road to build that fan base because they were not a radio or an airplay band.
they're
at
not an
any means
airplay band.
when they started. No AM at that time or FM would pick them up because nobody wanted to play.
1,000%
You
point.
couldn't play 2112 on the radio. That's
Nope.
a 20-minute song. You
Nope.
needed a 3-minute song.
Nope.
Rush wasn't that kind
Nope,
of band.
1,000% built. That's a great point.
So they built their audience just by performing
Great
and performing and built and starting to sell their albums and sell their records because they did not have radio play until they got into songs like Tom Sawyer, and things like that were a little bit shorter.
Yeah, yeah.
Which almost I think at that point they said we got to put a
We gotta
radio
some-
song.
gotta get
The
some playtime.
management was
They
saying,
have to, yeah.
guys gotta get some
That's,
airplay.
that's right.
So
That's
you
right.
gotta
But
get
look at those
some-
albums. What we say, right? That's such a great point, because if you listen to 2112 and even listen to the more popular albums,
Yeah.
there was like one song.
But why do you call this underrated though? Because everybody I talk to loves Rush. They live and they breathe Rush and they worship Rush.
Again,
So
Paulie,
isn't that them on a pedestal?
No, but again, though, you're talking about your circle, right? And your circle is probably similar age. Your circle is Canadian, yada yada yada, right? I mean, I don't know how many people in Denmark listen to Rush, but I know there's a lot of people in Denmark who listen to Zeppelin.
Yeah.
Right? You get my point? And I'm not saying
I
Right?
gotcha.
I mean, look at
I
AC/DC.
gotcha.
AC/DC is a great band.
Mhm.
Are they of Rush quality?
No.
I promise you
Not
not.
even close.
Right? But I tell you what, you could probably listen to AC/DC in every corner of the globe.
Oh, for sure.
Very
And
true.
but having said that, again, Rush, sold out tours everywhere they went.
Yeah.
No, I get it. And
And
Paulie,
it is
They were still underrated if you look at overall music and
Yeah.
some of the bands, they were
extremely popular opinion that Neil Peart was the greatest drummer
Oh,
of all
definitely.
time. But that's popular opinion. I think that's popular. I think
well, you can't.
Yeah.
Well, Paulie, there's no measurement to measure the greatest drummer,
yeah, for sure.
right? It is opinion, right?
That's
I'm
true. But it's him or John Bonham.
I'll
That's
get
who it is.
to Leslie Ann's comment here in a second, but William Kirkland says Supertramp, Logical Song, Street Heart, what kind of love
I
is
know
this?
the Logical
Cheap
Song.
Trick, the Dream Police.
Please.
Yeah, Dream Police is inside of my head. Whoops, I went to full screen here on my
The
screen. Sorry,
dream.
guys.
The dream.
So then we've got Leslie Ann saying Rick Emmett. So
Emmett.
Rick Emmett is a fantastic guitar player. So if you go onto YouTube and you go to search Triumph of the US Festival, and I was there for that show.
Oh.
And you can watch the full concert. Rick Emmett does a guitar solo in front of like 300,000 people. That's absolutely amazing. And they talked about it in a documentary that I watched. And so he's doing his rock guitar solo. Here you got 3 guys from Canada
Right.
on Heavy Metal Day at the US Festival, all dressed in white, all dressed in white. And
Was
they
he?
just,
You're really young.
yeah,
Emmett was young at
he
that.
was still pretty young at that point.
Yeah.
And Triumph was becoming the next big,
The next
big
The next
rock
big
band at
thing.
that
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
And so he's at one point doing, the typical
Yep.
heavy metal rock
Metal
solo,
rock, yeah.
big, high squealing notes, holding them and getting the feedback.
Yeah.
But then he sits down on the edges of the stage in front of 300 people, starts playing classical on electric
Oh.
guitar. So if you can look that up on YouTube,
Yeah.
Triumph at the US Festival, go scroll through if you don't want to watch the whole thing. It's only about a 45-minute show or whatever, but
Emmett,
and find that solo.
Emmett is, and the best part, you talk about favorite guitarist. If you get a chance, listen to an album called The Spiral Notebook by Rick Emmett.
Mm-hmm.
I tell you, the lyrics, the themes, the lyrics, the intelligence,
Yeah.
the raw freaking beauty of that album just juices me.
We had Rick Emmett on our show a year or so.
Yeah, I remember you guys talking about
Very
that.
nice guy. Very nice guy.
Yeah, but I tell you what, Rick, I started listening to Rick Emmett
Story.
solo. I mean, album called Ipso Facto. You start that album and you're like, oh, that's a pretty good album. Listen to it a second time. You won't put it down for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Right? You just won't. And then when he released Spiral Notebook, I could not take that CD out of the deck.
Well, there's an interesting documentary.
Oh,
Leslie
that's
Ann,
it. Seen it.
and she saw. Oh, so you've seen the S Festival? That's great. But anyway, there's an interesting documentary on Netflix called Triumph: The Rock and Roll Machine, I think. So it's a whole documentary on Triumph,
Oh, I have to
following
see
them
that.
from beginning to end, and reasons to why they broke up,
Why
and
they
why
broke
Rick left the
Man,
band.
I gotta get Netflix.
And it's got a really cool thing because they've still got tons of fans out there.
Oh yeah.
And so they invite fans to come out to the Metalworks, I think it's called, in Toronto, which was the Triumph studio.
The Triumph
It's
studio.
still run by who's the drummer? Anyway, name.
Oh, yeah.
So he still has it.
Oh, great. drummer, too.
So this documentary was shot in 2020.
Oh, it's
2019,
recent.
2021. Anyway, so what they did is they invited all their super fans, all
Right,
got
right.
invites to come, and they thought they were going to come, and they got to walk through the Metalworks, and they got to see all the Triumph memorabilia, posters and guitars and stuff. And then they brought them into the big warehouse in there, and they had a big white sheet up or whatever, because they wanted to show them a little film that they made, that the band
nice.
made, to thank all of their
Thank all
fans
the
for
fans.
coming. So anyway, as they're talking, what they had no idea, the fans, is Triumph was there. So,
Oh.
so they dropped the curtain,
That's kinda
and here
cool.
they are,
You're there.
back at just like this was just 2 years ago. And they got back and they played together in front of the super fans. So of course, people yelling, "You got to go on tour again! You got to go on tour again!" Which is, I don't think will happen. But anyway, they got up and they played
What a
Triumph
group. What a group, eh?
on a small stage together, and they still had some of the old flashing
Old
lights stuff
flashing
they
lights.
brought together in the warehouse.
Triumph was such a great group, man. It was so good. And then when Emmett went solo, and he's played every kind of guitar. You
Oh.
talking about classical?
Blues, jazz.
He came
everything.
to Edmonton. I missed it, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Where he came with two Spanish type guitars and 3
Yeah,
amigos.
he can play
I
anything.
love that stuff.
He's
I love that
got
stuff.
Berkeley. I got a live album of his at Berkeley, jazz, pure jazz.
Live
At Berkeley.
Yeah.
It was a fan built concert.
Yeah, that's from Leslie Ann.
Crazy. Yeah. Sorry, Rick Emmett. You start talking about him, I get all juiced, and so does
Yeah.
that.
Amazing guitar player. Chai says, I think you all missed the topic, and actually we did. And I kind of thought this might happen when I brought this up. So
Well, you did caveat it. You did.
we
say-
did. So we might have to move that topic to another Podlie show. But anyway,
Well, we'll get to it in another 7 minutes.
Where's Laura? I blame
Where's
Laura.
yeah. And Chai said something along the lines, I think we're going to have to go on strike or something.
Yeah,
And
gonna have you on strike.
yeah, William says, yeah, we're going to have to create a union. Yeah. So, because apparently, the writer strike is on, and now the actors are going on
No, the
strike,
actors are going on
which
strike.
hasn't happened since 1960, apparently, where the writers and the actors have all been on strike at the same time.
Wow.
So basically, film, television, etc., is going to be shut down for a while here. But anyway,
All right, just for the record, people, if you got no television to watch or so on and so forth, the Podlie podcast will be here every Monday.
we're not on strike,
We're not.
and we don't have writers. Do you see a script here?
Some of them are probably saying,
We need a contract.
could
That's what we
you
need.
get some writers?
That's what I'm thinking right now. But I'm just waiting for that to pop up. Hey, but
We're waiting for talent over
You know, the
here,
one
guys.
thing that
We're
we-
waiting for
We're
talent.
waiting for talent.
We're waiting for talent.
the one thing that we probably haven't mentioned, we are probably the only podcast on record in the world, Joe Rogan and everybody's probably never done this, to have had an encore. Do you know of any other podcast
I
in the
do
world
not.
that's done an encore?
And by the way, it is 8:54. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Podlie Podcast. Welcome to the encore
Welcome
of the
to
show.
the encore.
Right.
Okay, but so what we have to do is we have to leave.
That's right.
Come back.
Yeah,
And we're back.
I can do it. I did that last
We're
show,
back.
but I only do it for special shows.
For special shows.
We have done it once. So
If you had writers, you'd stay on topic, says Chai. That's absolutely right.
Yeah.
Hey, if we had a contract, we'd do the same
If
thing
we had a
too.
contract, we'd stay on target. Trust me.
Right.
yeah, for sure. So
Hey, wait a minute. If I had cookies, I would stay on target.
we had no cookies
Speaking
tonight.
of cookies,
I thought that was in the contract.
Yeah, we had no
Jeez.
cookies
No
tonight.
Hey, you didn't read my rider, Chai. Chai, you didn't read my rider.
it was in the fine print. folks.
Jeez.
Yeah, if you had writers stay on topic, wasn't it? Yeah, don't bet on this show.
Don't bet on it.
Yeah, if we had writers and they were in the writers' room during our show, they would be in just a huge mess.
Yeah,
Oh,
they would be a
man.
definite mess.
Yeah.
They would definitely strike.
Why,
at that
why do we
point.
spend the last week writing the show and they haven't even followed along? Hey, AI writes great contracts. I can write one in
Yeah,
5
we could
minutes.
write one in AI. That we should do.
Chat
ChatGPT.
GPT, baby.
Hey, we should do a live integrated chat GTP show. So when you say how was your weekend, Cliff and Paul, then you have to ask Chat GTP.
How was your weekend?
Then when you say what about the 80s? I like the 80s music. You say, well, Chat GTP, what do you think?
Yeah, we'll go with what they.
I think we need to have Chat GTP as a guest on the Podlie podcast.
We can try that at some
And
point.
those are our writers, by the way, guys. Chat GPT. That'll be our writers.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
it.
And
Those
as
are
long
our
as we don't get
writers.
sued, right?
Those are right. Cookies! Cookies!
Well, it's not on camera. Hold on. There it is. Look, we got cookies.
They just appeared.
Yeah.
Cookies!
It's the old adage, ask and ye shall receive.
But hold on. There's 4 cookies and 3 of us.
Well, she's planning on Chat GTP joining us.
But I know why that is because Chai hates odd numbers, so she couldn't put 3. She had to put 4.
Oh, isn't that nice?
Now she's
Wait, seriously? Really?
Yeah.
That makes sense because we always used to get 6 cookies.
Right. Well, I thought
There's
because there
only
was 3 of us.
4, Chai.
So Chai, how do you reconcile that there are only 3 Podlies?
and 4 cookies.
Because she usually puts 6 cookies.
No, I know,
What is
but forget about the cookies for a moment.
I
How does she
can't.
no, but
There's right in front of me.
Yeah.
I cannot.
No, I mean, how does she reconcile the fact that there are only 3 Podlies and not 4?
I don't know.
That must irritate you.
We're the rush of the podcast.
Gosh, my head.
We're the underrated
It was
podcast.
an underrated podcast.
Without writers.
Without writers.
and no scripts here.
That's right.
So
Somebody
anyway,
I need a little drum set, people.
we're down to the last couple minutes here, Mr. Cliff. So yeah, the topic that we had chosen, we'll get to that maybe on the next podcast.
On the next
for
podcast.
157. So that one is a much more serious topic than we ended up getting into tonight.
We will have golf updates for you next week.
Yeah, actually, yeah, we'll have to figure out. I'm just forewarning you guys Monday night because I have a company thing happening on Monday night, so we'll have to figure that out.
Monday night next week.
Yes, so we'll figure this out, but we'll let everybody know.
Okay.
Anyway, we're down 1 minute.
More cookies are flying. More cookies are flying on the table.
Cookies
arriving.
are flying as we
You
go.
guys, I got a minute left. Thank you for joining us. Much appreciate all the interaction, the fun, and the fancy typing and whatnot to interact with us. We much appreciate. Thank you so much for showing up. Those of you who didn't show up, I tell you what, unbelievable. No commitment or dedication. Go back and listen to this later or on Friday night.
Friday night, soundsugarradio.com at 10 o'clock. You can listen to the audio, or as Cliff mentioned, you go back to YouTube, watch the replay of it with the comments, and
And
follow
we'll pick
along.
up this topic again.
And we'll pick up this topic again another time. And as Leslie Ann said, for those of you that watch in stealth mode, hey, don't be afraid. Jump on into the comment section, because we know there are people watching, but we don't see them comment or anything.
Yeah,
So,
good.
Don't worry about it,
good
guys. I make moronic comments too. It's all good.
yeah,
We're all family here.
there you go. So, alrighty, everybody, we will see you all next time.
Later, dudes.